Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Displaced. I'm a regional manager at Men on the Side of the Road. The organization started in 2001. We actually looked at men sitting on the side of the road every morning looking for different jobs. I'm sure many of you have actually seen many of those guys sitting on the side of the road where when you stop your car, they all run to your car, and when you're looking for a carpenter or a painter, all of them becomes what they are not. So you end up picking them up and you take them through to your houses only to find they are there for any other criminal reasons. So we actually thought of getting into that informal sector, try to formalize them so that you can be able to register them, know them better, get to know exactly what skills they possess, so we can be able to at least afford them or link them to the income opportunities in their lives. So MSR is actually we've got a head office in Cape Town, and we are operating nationwide in different provinces. So as Men on the Side of the Road, we try to link the unemployed people to potential employers out there, the skilled unemployed people to the potential employers out there. We verify their skills, we engage with them on a day-to-day basis to get to understand exactly what makes them sit on the side of the road. And in that scenario, we try to link them with potential employers that are willing to employ them. I'm going to have Lee to take us through to some of our slides, and I'll get in during the slides where it says operation. That's where I will, because I'm mainly focusing on the operations of the organization. Lee is our marketing manager at MSR.
As Felista said, we're a non-profit organization.
Yes, we have.
Okay. We register, verify, and evaluate informal semi-skilled laborers, workers, painters, and electricians, handymen, domestic workers, whoever's looking for a job and they come to us, we will check their skills and verify their references. That's what Felicitas does. And we obviously go to great lengths to introduce the right, we call MSR members, the unemployed or the job seeker who's come to us. So we go to great lengths to try and introduce the right employee to the right employer. What the problem is at the moment is that a lot of South Africans don't want to just pick up somebody off the side of the road because of the crime today, and they don't know who they're picking up. So that's where we come in, because we know these people, we've checked their references, we've got ratings for them already on previous jobs, so we believe that we are giving honest and reliable members and workers to our employees. Just as a matter of interest, in the 10 years that we've been going, in that time we've had 3 incidences that have been reported to us. I'm sure if there were more would have been reported, where something was stolen or picked up. And in each of those cases, the goods were returned, the situation was sorted out. Obviously those members were taken off our database, so we don't have them anymore. But so we go to great lengths to make sure that we have good, honest, reliable workers working for us. And very often the chaps who aren't honest and reliable will quickly go, because they see the checks and balances that we do. Also, what we say is that every income-earning South African can actually make the difference in the life of our own. There's about 45% of people in this country, and the government statistics are not the same, but from the stats that we've done and the investigations we've done, you're looking at about 45% of people who are actually really unemployed. Being employed for 1 day a month does not constitute being employed, and I do think that that's somehow how the stats are worked out. So it's more like 45%, which is a scary number, because those people are unemployed, they've got to feed their children, you're going to ultimately have crime. If a mother's got babies to feed, she's going to do one of 2 things. She's going to either prostitute herself or she's going to steal something. She'll probably steal something. Desperate measures, people get desperate. Now, what we ask people is that if they can't employ somebody to actually do a job, or to come and dig up a veggie garden, or to paint a fence, or fix a door, or whatever. Some people stay in townhouses, or they don't need somebody to come do their gardening or to paint a wall because they enjoy doing it themselves. Then just contributes a small amount, even if it's for 1 day's wages for once a month, to one of our projects. Now, the one project that we've got many projects, but this is the one which we came up with a little while ago. It's been approved by Johannesburg City Parks. Once a site is identified, within literally 2 days they will say, okay, go ahead and do it. And we've got a contract with them for this, and we can't renege on it or stop us doing it. The idea was that I looked at all of these people who come to the soup kitchens and all the people that are side of the road and thought, well, they've got to work. Our roads and our pavements and our streets look dreadful. It looks like a dump. These big corporates or big businesses, or these communities or ratepayers associations or just a street of residents. There's people who want to do something and don't know what to do. So this is perhaps where the money from a big company, the CSI division, can go into, or a community or a street or just one person with one wage a day can go into this project. What we can do is ideally you take a section of road. We're not saying how much somebody has to put in. A company can come to us and say, I've got 10,000 Rand or 5 million Rand, which would be better, obviously, because you can do a lot more. And we will then design a section of road for that and see how many workers we can put in. And it's all labor intensive. We don't have machines. We don't have the money for it. So the guys have to slash unless somebody donates a weed eater to us, but then there's no electricity, so it'll have to be a petrol-powered one. So it's all labour-intensive. The idea is that we have a pavement. I'm not sure, I'm not familiar with this area, but anyway, just in your mind's eye, just think of a pavement that's an absolute tip at the moment, and we'll have a group of guys going in there doing a general clean-up, filling up the bags, and then thereafter we'll have 1 or 2 guys who are permanently on site for whatever that length of that contract is, depending on the amount of money that we get given for the project. And then that guy will maintain it. He will pull out weeds. He will, hopefully, a garage around the corner or somebody will allow him to have a little bit of water for 5 minutes a day. Beg and plead, or I'll beg and plead at whoever's around there to help us with things like that. And if people donate trees, or if we can get, or if we've got enough money under the sponsorship, we'll put trees in as well, or try and get a nice water-wise garden going, something that will survive in our climate. But we achieve 3 objectives. One is that we take the chaps off the side of the road. We give them a job so they have some dignity. They go home at the end of the day and they can take some money home to feed their family, their families, or give their children something, or that child who has to go to a sports day the next day and who needs a pair of takis or whatever, that child can now have it instead of feeling that it's the only child in the world whose parents can't afford anything. And those are the realities that our kids' parents who are unemployed. The guys are employed. They gain some dignity, the crime is definitely reduced, and the sponsor, whether it's a big business or whether it's you or you or you or your street or your community, there's something being given back as well. There's some thing to give back to the community. But with big companies as well, or who's ever doing it, what City Parks has agreed to, and this is why it took me 2 years to get this approved by them, because we got them to approve acknowledgement boards, which they obviously don't like signs up, and I know Amanda doesn't either, but nobody likes them up. But we're not going to be placing them sort of every 50 meters or anything. It'll be more like every sort of 250 meters. But just so that whoever's sponsoring this project and assisting to sponsor it, there needs to be some acknowledgement. And I think that's important. We can't expect to ask people to give something and get nothing back. Although they're getting so much back anyway because the crime's coming down, but still we have to be realistic. Business is business, there's a bottom line, they need to show where their money's going, and we do give, on the back of our little pieces of paper at the bottom, there's a certain document that we give so that the money can be tax deductible. So you get it back anyway. So that should be a big incentive to give the money in the first place. So there's acknowledgement. We then do branding, where the clothing, and could be part of the funds that we get, the chaps will wear, much like Felicitas is wearing. I'm sorry, I couldn't find mine today. I had a little vest thingy. But they will have we'll have a little logo for men on the side of the road. There'll have to be a little logo for City Parks because they want their bit on as well. And fair enough, because they've done this for us. And then the sponsor, for example, Coca-Cola, I'll use that as an example. So Coca-Cola will have their name on the clothing, and then Coca-Cola will have their name on the little acknowledgements boards, which is much like an estate agent's board, and this is a great opportunity for estate agents. So now they can have their boards up and be part of the community initiative. About 800 high, I think it is, but it's about that size. So it's not too obtrusive. We're not going to litter the pavements with them, but there just needs to be some acknowledgement. We're also going to be pushing the newspapers, community newspapers, as many newspapers as possible. If we can get on to TV to show what the community is doing or the sponsor is doing, we will do that. And we've got a lady who does all of our communications writing, and she's got access to all the papers. She sends it out, I send it out as well. So whoever can print and will print, they will get the information, before and after photos, and we'll just keep it in the eye of the public all the time. The awareness will be up constantly. Now, the other thing that we agreed to with doing this when we sat with City Parks is that basically it's going to be like those Verimark ads. You get 2 for the price of 1. You'll get 2 sites for 1 sponsorship. The one site will be in a well-trafficked area, like around here. The second site has to be, if the sponsor says they don't want to do it, then we don't want the sponsor, because it's very important. The second site has to be in an informal settlement, or an area where people would not normally, a big sponsor would not normally want to go and do something, because they're not going to get the same visibility. But we will make sure they get the visibility in an informal settlement. We'll make sure that the papers see it. The boards will still be put up. And that can be from paving a street to... and we've just started a project, by the way. I'll just dive very quickly. I know it's not on here. A Rock Road project, which we're doing up in Middelburg. And that road will probably... It's a kilometre of road. It costs exactly the same as the government pays to tar a 1 kilometre of road. The difference is that our road... there will be no maintenance on it. It's rock that's been cut from the stone from what mine?
From the mine, Shanduka mine.
Shanduka mine, yeah, from Shanduka mine. That will last as long as the Roman roads lasted. There may be a bit of water retention when it rains, but those roads, that road will last, and there's no maintenance. The maintenance on government roads, I think, is something like 5 million a year. Anyway, I don't know those figures, but we can do that as well. That's very labour intensive. Fix up a park, fix up a sports field for the kids in a wherever, Tembisa, Ivy Park. I don't mind where it is, as long as it benefits a community and a formal settlement. So there's 2 sites, one in a well-trafficked area where everybody going to work and back can see it, and the other one where it's going to benefit we're not going to ask questions now. Felicitas is now going to talk about the operations, the day-to-day operations. You can ask me questions later about the breeding project, but let's just finish. Is that all right?
Thank you once again, ladies and gentlemen. This is our day-to-day operation. I'll start off with the very first picture there, where you see guys lining up. There is where we actually identify the area where there is a lot of these guys sitting on the side of the road, purporting to be whatever, different skills. It could be a paver or a painter, whatever the reason is. We actually got there, as you can see, we've got 2 MSR staff that are actually engaging with the guys on the side of the road to find out exactly what makes them sit on the side of the road, what skills do they possess, and what references do they have before we can be able to register them. Once we understand, or we get to the core of what exactly makes them sit on the side of the road, we then introduce them to the employability program, which is about the work ethics and how they should actually conduct themselves at work, the tools they need to carry on a day-to-day basis. Then we actually go back to the office to verify their skills through the previous employers, so we can be able to start putting them into a database. Before we register them, we're actually looking for the copy of their IDs, so we know exactly what type of the people are there in our database. Do they have the right identification, the references? Have they ever worked, or maybe they're just trying to press the wrong button with our potential employers out there. We then have the group which goes out to do the marketing, which we have the placement officer. They go out to hand out pamphlets, to also engage with the churches and different companies about the type of skills that we have within the database. So that as soon as they get hold of our pamphlets, they will then call our call center. As you can see the lady there at the call center. The call center to say, hi, I'm looking for a bricklayer, whatever the skill could be. So before you can be placed with the relevant skill that you're actually requesting, you will be requested by the call center to register as a customer or a client of MSR. We need to know who you are. These people, they've got a lot of issues. They were either being exploited for some reasons, or probably they can get into your house or something happens. We can be able to trace that because we know who you were and who did we place you with. So we can be able to take it from there. Most of the time you find that people get dropped soon after they were placed with the gardener or whatever the case may be, because they took them from the side of the road. But now that we know them, we can be able to trace back these type of people to say, okay, you have been placed with the painter on this particular day. Let's call on the painter to find out exactly what happened on that particular day. So we can trace from that time that they were in the house. As soon as you get to register, then we can be able to place you with the relevant skills that you have actually requested. As soon as we have actually placed you with the relevant person, as you can see, we've got Mavis, or the domestic worker there, who's actually now happy working at on site with Mrs. Who or Mr. whatever. He's actually very happy. However, we will trace back to find out from the employer if the employer is very happy about the job that the Mavis has actually done, or maybe Patrick has actually done. We will ask you to rate this person out of the scale of 5. If you give us the 3 or 2%, we know that this person somehow has got a problem, and we need to actually address that problem through our soft skill again. We don't automatically check them out of our database. We need to find out exactly what happened on that particular day. Probably Mavis or maybe Peter was not shown all around the house. That's why he had to just shoot on the wall to urinate, and that's one of the problem. So we actually try to trace to find out exactly what could be the problem between the employer and Mavis, or probably Peter on that particular day. And as you can see, we've got satisfied customer with a happy team, because we're actually able to actually have the team as well as the individual people that have been placed with different. It depends on the needs of the customer as to what is looking for at that particular time. So we can be able to prepare on time the type of skills that you're looking for on that particular time. I think this brings us to the end of our operations at MSR. There we go. We say MSR works very hard to keep unemployed and challenges faced by our members in the forefront of the public mind. We do this because our members are marginalized and find it difficult to make their stories heard. It is only by constantly bringing ourselves to our humanity that we can appreciate the desperate circumstances of many of the people with whom we share our beautiful country. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
For any of those skills that I've actually spoken about, you're more than welcome to call our call center or visit our website. We'll gladly help you with regards to whatever the needs are. And in closing, we'd like this is a form of an awareness where we get to say to the communities out there, stop picking people on the side of the road. They can actually endanger your life because you do not know them. So in that sense, we're trying to say you might unconsciously pick up someone from Mrs. So-and-so's gate. Unconsciously, you are not aware that you are actually creating the market for the unemployed. If this person has actually been picked up in front of your gate, he's not going to keep quiet. He's going to tell the other friends that there is a market there. I was picked up twice or thrice. One day when you wake up, you find 4 or 5 guys standing on the side of on your gate, and you don't know how. Simply because your neighbor had actually picked up someone from that side. So it becomes a site for the unemployed people anyway. So this is what we are actually trying to appeal to the public out there to stop it, please. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. One of the reasons why I wanted wanted the ladies from Men on the Side of the Road to come and speak to us is because of what we spoke about earlier, about communities taking responsibility for the people living on the streets in our communities, and offering them the opportunity to become valued members of our community instead of, as a lot of people see them, as a nuisance that we need to get rid of. And this is one of the ways that we can do it. What Mary spoke about earlier, about people doing community work to earn vouchers for shelters, etc., is another way. And what I love about Men on the Side of the Road is that they also assist people with skills training, and they are already negotiating projects like with city parks to beautify our parks. So I want to make an appeal to particularly residents associations, my fellow councillors. Let us work with these guys and get beautify our public open spaces, and encourage our residents associations, if they have work that needs to be done,